All right, team. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Eric Cox. I'm a member of the Netcapital team. I'm super excited to have a couple folks on the line here with EmotionTrac. They are actively raising capital on the Netcapital platform. Before we dig in, let's allow 1 minute for folks to settle in. I got a bunch of folks coming in from the weight room, so let's give them 1 minute to get settled in. While people are trickling in, go ahead and hop into the chat. Tell us where you're calling in from. Tell us, your region. And generally, we got folks from all over the place on the line here, and it's always cool when we get to see where people are calling in from. So feel free to use the chat feature there. Tell us a little bit about where you're at these days. Hopefully, everybody's keeping warm. But let's allow 1 moment for folks to trickle in here. Thank you. Awesome. All right, all right. Cool. So we got a couple dozen in the line here. We can go ahead and get the party started for just a moment. As I mentioned, thank you so much all for joining us on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. As I mentioned earlier, we are on the line with the team from EmotionTrac. As always, this company is actively raising capital on the Netcapital platform. I'm gonna go ahead and add a link to that into the chat feature here, so everybody can select the link. So that's the link right there in chat. Or you can go directly to netcapital.com/companies/EmotionTrac. That is TRAC. So go ahead and click that link, or you can go directly to the link. Go directly to the link on Netcapital, or of course you can go to netcapital.com and search EmotionTrac, and you'll be able to find it there as well. But we're actively raising capital. We got a couple of team members on the line. A couple of quick housekeeping items. Please do use the Q&A feature built into Zoom. I know there is also the chat feature where I just added a link, but we do want to get to as many of the questions as possible, and the Q&A feature is certainly the best way to do that. So please do engage with that, and please do ask your questions. We're here for you. We want to keep this as interactive as possible, so please do ask your thoughtful questions. So I just want to make sure we got that covered there. Oh, awesome. Someone's coming in from Philly. Welcome. Well, welcome. Got some East Coasters. And then we got Boston on the line. We got Orange County and LA on the line here. So super excited that we got a nice diverse group of people from all over the place. So please do use that Q&A feature to add your questions. We're about to get started in just a moment here. We got David and Aaron here with EmotionTrac. David, I think you have a presentation queued up. Why don't you come on in and tell us a little bit about what you're building with EmotionTrac?
Yes, I'm going to give everybody just kind of a quick overview, make sure we're all on the same page. All right. All righty, let me can everybody see? Can you see my screen? Okay, great. So it has been said that the eyes are the window of the soul. Here at EmotionTrac, we feel that if that is so, the face is the doorway to the brain. And we are driving data-rich insights using AI. We're tracking moment-to-moment emotional response to people watching video. The insights are from real people, patented emotional detection AI software, global consenting audience, broad demographic selection, easy to use, fast, cost-effective, and it delivers robust reports. We are actually innovating 12 verticals. We have the ability to innovate 12 verticals and have tested in many of these verticals. These verticals in total market are over $1 trillion in value. We have robust, we have a significant amount of testimonial from our customers in both the legal and the ad industries. We won a creative award in 2020, and we also were one of the top 5 ranked new technologies ranked by the ABA in 2022. That's the American Bar Association. Our business profile, we solve over $100 billion worth of a problem across over $1 trillion worth of markets. It's a very fast and scaling business. It's a digital business. We're past proof of concept, and this is going to allow us to scale very fast. As we scale, we have 80% plus gross margins, Actually, more, they go more towards 94%. Our annual revenue for the last 3 years, for 2020, 21, and 22, has been growing, accelerating, and we haven't put out our annual report for 2023, and it will demonstrate the same. The sales are accelerating, and we believe that we're hitting possibly the parabolic moment in our growth. We have over 100 clients served, actually more like 150, and we are, like I said, we have very successful experiences with them, lots of testimonial, and we're currently in building strategic alliances with 2 of the largest companies in their field in the world, and they're in progress. One is a enterprise agreement that is being phased in, an enterprise relationship across the whole enterprise. The other is a pilot project that will spearhead a lot of activity. Okay, our management team, our management team has experienced collectively acquisitions, exits, and operations of over $20 billion. So we see a large vision, and that is that's where we've designed this vision to go large and to attract the people and the customers to do that. And with that, I think I'm done. Let me, there we go. There we go.
Awesome. Thanks for that background there, David. And as we talk about the success that you've already had so far, before we dig too deep into that, Aaron, maybe I can welcome you in here. Can you tell us a little bit about the problem that you're solving here and exactly how EmotionTrac fits in as a solution?
Absolutely. In simplest way to describe it, people don't have the data, the insights to understand how their content is going to be resonating with their intended audiences. To explain that, if you were an advertiser and you were going to spend a lot of money on television advertising, the traditional way is you do a focus group, you do a small group, or sometimes you don't even have time to test it. And so we give them this facility where they can run their ads before they're public, share them with our test audience, which numbers 100 people or more. They get all this data that tells them exactly what moment in time their ad is working and not working with what different types of demographic groups. And so it solves the problem where they could be spending a lot of money on advertising and they're not getting the return on investment. And so with us, they can get that information. They can optimize their content, their ad before they spend money on advertising, and they can also understand which audience is really reacting well, which audience is resonating, and so that lets them spend their advertising dollars very intelligently and very focused. And that's in the creative market. As David indicated, there's potential of 12 different markets that we can work in, which have similar solutions. And in the legal market, which people have reached out to us and said, oh, tell such an exciting product and solution. It's like a mock jury and a focus group, although those are very expensive processes, and they're all usually meant for the firms that have multi-million-dollar cases. And our solution can be help the clients where the cases are not worth that much money. So the lawyer tells their story in a video format. We deliver it to that same audience. We understand the nuances of where people are expressing anger, or are they connecting with the message? And then being able to go ahead and respond to them and answer questions relating to the value of the case. So this way, when they go and they're negotiating with the insurance carrier or the defense counsel, say, we have valid market research data that says why our case is worth this much money. And our goal is to deliver a solution that helps justice being served.
No, I think that's so important there. And you talk about being able to maximize the message, but I imagine also super helpful to be able to kind of decrease the negative value that you might include just by accident in certain languaging, or by targeting different demographics with language that they just really kind of don't don't appreciate. Can you elaborate a little bit on that opportunity to avoid some of that negative value that can come from a bad ad?
Oh, forget about it. But the one thing I want to really stress to everybody listening today and who's going to be watching this later. Again, where we are uniquely different is that we're delivering the emotional triggers because we're able to capture those people's reactions. Our audiences are participating in our surveys and they opt in, give us permission to use the front-facing camera on their device, their computer, their tablet, their phone. So we're tracking them second by second. Are they expressing anger? Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they surprised? Are they fearful? And that all our decisions that we make in life is all emotionally driven. And we're able to deliver those insights on an emotional level, not compared to anything that has been delivered in the past. And as it relates to your question again, Eric, just remind me one more time, what was the question? Because I got off on a
No,
tangent.
yeah, no. I mean, I think a lot of folks are chasing optimal messaging, but also even just avoiding some of those suboptimal, real negative value
Sure.
ads. I think almost it could be arguably even more valuable than getting like that extra little bit of good value out of a good ad.
So I'll give you a quick case study for everybody here listening. We did a couple of tests for the Hip Hop Awards for Black Entertainment Television, and we tested the ads before they were going to show the ads on their award program, and we found that there was a couple of seconds in those ads where people reacted so negatively. I mean, it happened to be during COVID, and there were masks in the ads and everything else, and there was just a bad response. And we gave them those insights. They saw those insights, so they edited and they optimized the video before they launched the advertisements. They came back to us and they said these were the best performing ads we've ever shown on this program. And recently we just had the same situation where someone gave us 4 different ads. They were so similar, but they had 4 different hero images. So a hero image is like where you have that unique sort of value proposition in the middle of your commercial. And so they said, well, they asked us, which ad is the best performing ad? And we said, well, it's not about that, because we tested it with 4 different audiences with 400 people. And we said, ad number 2 was really solid with the exception of the hair image, which was about in the middle of the ad. And ad number 3 was kind of weak in the beginning, strong at the end, but had a really solid hero image. So what we recommend is you basically cut the hero image out of number 3 and put it into number 2, okay? And and then you would have a solid performing ad. And that was our insights. Well, fast forward 6 months later. By the way, I can't tell you the name of the company, but they're the second largest global chocolate manufacturer. And they told me that they ran the campaign, they studied it, also best performing ad campaign, and they measured it in their measurement 10 points higher than any previous campaign that ever performed. So sorry for these interruptions. I'm busy all day long. Anyway, so that's a little bit of a case study on how you can avoid showing a bad ad if you use EmotionTrac.
Absolutely, and no problem. We actually don't hear the phone go in the background, so that's actually working out quite well. So we talk about optimizing ads, being able to figure out exactly what parts of each ad are performing the best, and be able to create like a Frankenstein's monster of the best ad, and be able to really get high performing results, which is awesome.
Eric, and also knowing what audiences are really resonating. Another quick story: we did a test for a movie producer who had a film, and he was going to the Silicon Valley Film Festival and 2 other New York Film Festival, and he was pitching his movie to Amazon Prime and Netflix and some other distributors. And he said, I made this movie, but I really don't know who is going to like the movie. And so I really want to test it to understand who my audience is, so that when he was pitching it, he had this report that we generated that showed all the data and they understood. So it helped him sell the film.
I love that. And I love the idea of being able to do a focus group at scale, tech enabled, really kind of get diverse groups' opinions in there. I think we've all seen ads where we're thinking either I'm not the target market or this was just off the mark. Or maybe there were just
Right.
no people in the room that have had my shared experience because they're just missing something fundamentally there. And that's
To
amazing that we have a tech enabled to resolve that. Yeah, please come on in, David.
Eric, to tag on that, okay. Recent discussions with uh, one of our alliances has told us that there is a space in this world right now to utilize our system to test AI produced ads before they go live. There is a big risk right now, and we're all seeing that in the press, and there's a backlash. And so that's part of the market we haven't even expressed in our offering that that's under contemplation right now, and actually we're actively pursuing. So that goes right into what you're saying about preventing. It's a risk management tool, which can be more devastating the risk. When Bud Light showed the wrong commercial to the wrong crowd, they lost I think it was $4 billion worth of market share and
It was more
dropped
than
from the
that. It
top.
was like $6 billion in
But I mean,
market cap.
it happened fast. So it was
Yeah.
just, the numbers were rolling. So the point is that, with the simple, our tests start, the base test, but just they start very low. And, to the point where even an entrepreneur can use them, and they're very simple to do. And there's no reason why someone shouldn't be testing every piece of something that goes out to a broad audience.
Yep. And let me just add to that, David. What you're referring to is ChatGPT and generative AI and open AI and all these other
Mm-hmm.
language learning models that are going to be releasing video generated AI, where you can type in a story. You can say, hey, I've got a
Mm-hmm.
laundromat and I need a 30-second ad for Facebook, a video ad about my laundromat. And the problem is there's something called hallucinations, where the language model sort of understands what you say, but it doesn't interpret it always the right way, or it's studying something else, and it's delivering content that's not necessarily on point. And so being able to use real people, which we're connected to, we have a 30 million person US audience that opts in for surveys and polls to understand, to see how people are feeling emotionally about that AI generated content, that is going to be extremely valuable, and especially to our shareholders once we're really scaling this business.
No, I think that's absolutely right. We are going to, and I think we're pretty safe to say at this point that we're going to see more and more AI generated content online, and being able to understand how people are receiving that content is going to be mission critical. I think this is actually even beyond pure ads, in that social media influencers need to be thoughtful about how they're engaging with their audiences. They're testing new audiences, expanding to new regions. And I can imagine, I mean, they operate where their content that they create is largely advertisement for whatever they want to be able to monetize down the road. So I think there's a real, as we continue to lean heavier into social media and AI, we're going to see kind of a even broader application here in the social media space. A couple of questions coming in from the audience, but I want to kind of group them together. So I want to hold off just a little bit longer for that. But thank you so much for participating here. You guys really thoughtful about your intellectual property strategy, and you have some patents. And I'd love to take a little bit of a moment here and talk about what is the kind of the underlying protected asset here through your IP, and how do you view your ability to kind of build a moat around your technology through, I think it's 3 granted US patents.
David, you want me to answer that, or you got it?
Yeah, why don't you give it a shot, and then if you need a little help, I can kick in there.
Okay. I always need your help, David.
Teamwork
It's always good
makes
to
the
be.
dream work.
Yeah, teamwork makes the dream work. Absolutely. There's no I in team, I'm
Not
sure.
at all. And maybe
So,
we could break it up a little bit, Aaron. Maybe you could start off with that the method of objectively utilizing user facial expressions when viewing media presentations for evaluating a marketing campaign. That feels like one of the kind of the truest, most important parts of your underlying technology,
and
if I'm thinking about that right.
that's really a very strong patent. What we did was we sort of engineered that patent in reverse. We went out and we saw what was out in the marketplace. We did a lot of research, and we said, well, what is it really that we do? Because you can write patents and be very granular, and get right, and say, oh, well, we're using a mobile phone to capture the images, or we're delivering it through a dashboard and so forth. What this really creates is any type of media presentation, which is basically video, content, PowerPoint, any kind of content, that's covered by the media presentation. And then delivering that information, the method of objective is really understanding that it goes beyond. So, we've done some studies on how our patents could be leveraged with very, very, very large technology companies that potentially could be infringing on our patents. And, when we started the business, our goal wasn't to be in the patent infringement business. We were building solutions and products. It also costs a lot of money for legal expenses to go and fight the Amazons of the world and the Facebooks of the world. Also, at some point, they could be a possible acquirer of our company or partner in our company. So we sort of walk carefully, around, not necessarily on eggshells, but we think deeply on how we want to leverage those patents with potential competitors or other companies that are utilizing solutions that are similar to the intellectual property that we've protected.
Yeah, I will just say that the first and foremost important part of a patent, the purpose of a patent, what's most important, is to make sure we're permitted to do business in our own domain, to be able to without interference from another party, that we have the fence around our house to do the business we need to do. And that we feel very confident about that. And we're actually, there's several other intellectual property efforts we're actually putting on. In other words, we're initiatives on a couple more pieces of intellectual property as this AI market emerges and how we can serve in that marketplace. So yeah, that's the most important thing. So we're covered there. We don't want to get into, like Aaron says, we don't want to get into a wrangle with a very large company and then get sucked into a vortex. Not yet, anyway.
No, that sounds like a great strategy. Avoid being overly antagonistic. Yeah, these intellectual property, specifically patents, the larger bit of the value is how well you can enforce them against others. But it sounds like really just making sure that you can play well in your own sandbox is the goal for some of this IP right now, not going down the litigation rabbit hole.
I mean, this whole thing could end up serving us very well. We know there are several very large companies that are on the verge of violating our patent. But what we want to do is we want to position ourselves as a leader in the industry we're in, and that will make it just that much more attractive to combine with them at a later stage at a better valuation, or position ourselves strategically in the M&A marketplace. Somebody would like to have our advantage.
Yeah, make us say just kind of just buy versus build. We're right here, ready for you.
Right.
No, that's great. And I want to go into the team because I know we did a quick slide on the team, but you've been able to assemble such a star-studded cast that I do want to come back to that and give some more time to that. But before we do, some of like the really cool underlying technological feats that you have been able to accomplish. The underlying technology analyzes over 6,800 microfacial standards per second. I love the idea that it has these unbiased insights, and you have 200 plus demographic target options. Can you dig a little bit deeper into like this? What is, like, in terms of the technology itself, what is it about these little really minute wrinkles that give us such insight into the individual who's engaging with the content that you just can't get from a user generated survey at the end?
Yeah, so the face, we have many, many muscles in our face. And so when our software is analyzing your face, it's analyzing all what's called a muscle action unit. I don't want to get too deep in the science, but so what it means is we're able to interpret whether somebody is happy. Is it a smile? Is it a frown? Are they burrowing their eyes? And being able to identify that. But it goes a step further, because once we collect the same microfacial expressions from 100 people in a panel audience per second, it doesn't necessarily interpret what it means when they're watching and they're happy at this second or sad at this second. So we've gone a step further, and we're using social science and data science to interpret that into different outputs, into different reporting methodologies, to really say, this is what this means, and this is what you need to do. Okay. And so that's really, we're not just about the collection process and the capturing process, but where we really stand apart is how we report. And that's what our customers tell us. Our customers tell us, we spoke to NBC Universal. Okay. They said, we've seen other companies in the space. We don't get it. Okay, so you're able to capture people's emotions. Well, what does that mean? What do you do with that data? And we showed them what we deliver, and they said, you're like the first company that we see that really interprets the data. So it's simple to understand, and it gives very strong deliverables of what we need to do for improvement. And
It's
that's where
actionable.
EmotionTrac differs. Yeah.
Actionable information.
Yeah, that's what we're all looking for at the end of the day. It's great to be able to see a really cool graph. But what do I do with this information? And that report that you all generate, the combination of the tech and the data science behind it seems to be a really real big piece of the value add, the value proposition here. Almost at the halfway mark. So I think I'm gonna use this little pause to remind everybody that we're on the line with EmotionTrac. They're actively raising capital on the Netcapital platform. If you are so inclined, you can go directly to netcapital.com/companies/EmotionTrac. Remember, that is TRAC. I also just added a link to that back into the chat feature, so you could just select the link, or you go to netcapital.com and search EmotionTrac, where you could review the offering page, learn more about the investment opportunity, and if you're so inclined, you too can invest. So a little bit of a reminder on that shameless plug there. I want to do a deep dive on the team coming out of halftime here. You've been able to assemble folks from all over. I know, Aaron, you have your background at HP. I got to meet the Packard family when I was in the Bay Area. I know we have Lehman Brothers, DH Blair on the line here with your background, David. But there's so many other folks and specialists that bring expertise to the line. Can we spend a little bit of time talking about Jonathan and Ron and the rest of the team and some of their backgrounds? Just give them a couple of minutes, because you've been able to assemble a really strong cast here.
Sure. So we'll start with Jonathan. Jonathan is our Chief Revenue Officer. Jonathan comes from a background of sales. One of the last firms he was involved with was sold to Zoom Info. I don't know if you've heard of Zoom Info, the data company, but they went from they did an IPO at $13 billion. I don't know what it's worth today. I didn't look it up this morning, but the last time I looked, it was well over $20 billion. He was part of one of the founding teams of the precursor to Zoom Info that took it from zero in revenue to over $150 million in revenue. So Jonathan has been involved in scalable opportunities where revenue has grown fairly quickly once they, understood the market value and getting it into the market. Ron is our director. He's had a incredible background. He's pushing 80, unless he just turned 80. I don't recall. And he's still moving. This is a guy who jumps on planes every single day of the week. And so Ron was what was the name of the company?
Let me tell him about Ron. I've known Ron for 30 years. We go back to when I worked on Wall Street as an investment banker. Ron was the former founding investor of Egghead Software. Took it to $1 billion in sales prior to Microsoft even launching its Windows. And he has sat on boards with Paul Allen before. Ron is he's a statesman and a diplomat, and he's a serial entrepreneur. He has formed a number of companies all the way back into the 80s that have gone and become global entities. And he brings to the table a tremendous amount of startup to disruptor unicorn stage background. I will tell you that he is my idol when it comes to good health. He was a triathlete when he was in his mid 60s, all the way through his early 70s. He currently is a race car driver, and he's just into his 80s. But we're really fortunate to be blessed by all of the contacts and that he can bring to us.
And we can't leave out Shelly. I know Shelly, and there's a couple other folks that are super impactful here. And Ron, I know, is an important part of the team. But can we tell a little bit about what Shelly Garson brings to the team in terms of research and insights?
Yeah, so Shelly's background is market research, focus groups. She's been in the industry for over 30 years. She worked for Saatchi & Saatchi Advertising. She worked for Gray Advertising, McCann. I mean, she was back in the heyday of the 90s and the 80s. And worked in various studies with Fortune 100 companies. Shelley's a social scientist. She's a data scientist. She's been very instrumental in identifying some of these outputs. And she's our VP of Research and Analysis and Insights. So she's just a very interesting person, and the clients love her because she basically, we always tell the clients, we're going to deliver the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're a data company. At the end of the day, EmotionTrac is a data company. We deliver data. And data companies, we know historically, have very high values. And so, having Shelley on board is just fantastic.
So, we also probably should cover, we got Mark Coleman,
Well,
former.
why don't we wait? Let's see what Eric has to say. I'm curious who he wants to cover because we're short of time.
Okay.
No, that's great. I mean, yeah, there's the last three here. So if you want to kind of power through the last three, I'd love to save Lou for last. That'll help me transition over to why legal is such a great initial target market here. So if you want to do like the quick and dirty for Dr. Kimmering and then Mark Coleman, and then we'll finish off with Lou, if that sounds good to you guys.
Hey, David. Good.
No, you go, Aaron.
No. You do Mark great.
So Mark,
no. We're bantering.
Mark Coleman, former head of sales. He was at one point former head of sales of Google. He came over from the DoubleClick to Google. He went over to Google from the DoubleClick acquisition. Mark is a real wealth of knowledge. He's on our advisory board. We have both Aaron and I have contact to him anytime, weekly. All right. And then you want to talk about Clinton at all, Aaron, and then we'll finish it.
Yeah, so Clinton was just a I don't know how you want to describe Clinton at the age of 18 years old. He basically wrote the search engine for what became the largest Chinese search engine, which is Baidu. I mean, that's the competitor to Google, and he wrote that algorithm.
To this day, he still receives a fee off of that. He also worked with Elon Musk over at the PayPal Mafia. And so he's just a really incredibly bright person. He helps us in terms of our intellectual property strategy a great deal.
And he was a Marine, and we thank him for his service.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's amazing. And last but not least, Lou, and why the background in LexisNexis and how the legal target market fits in here for those who are trying to connect those dots.
Sure, I'll take it. So Lou, just very passionate what we're doing. He understands the value of data to help any type of lawyer to really get an edge and maximize their outcomes. And he's a wealth of knowledge. He's got great contacts, and he's been very instrumental in helping us and guiding us in the direction as we grow our business. He was president of Bloomberg Law, like you say, LexisNexis, some other companies that he's involved with now that are pretty large companies in the legal tech space. Legal technology is an exploding area, not just in general, but just also for AI, for artificial intelligence, and the returns on investment, the value, the multiples on value on companies is just higher than any other industry that I can think of right now.
Yeah, Go ahead, David.
I was speaking with somebody the other day and said, just mentioned Lou Andreazzi, and they said, well, what does he think about this thing? I said, well, Lou is the former chairman of Bloomberg Law, and he's former CEO of LexisNexis. And he says, well, what does he think about it? I said, what does he think about it? He's on our team. And the jaw just dropped. So yeah, that's an impressive, and he's solid guy. He solidly wants to see this thing succeed. So,
and I think the Lexis folks and Westlaw and a couple in Bloomberg for that matter have really early on saw the value of data in the law and the ability to be able to query and search through cases and everything really early. And Lexis rolled out the practical law application. So they really do understand how impactful this can be in the space. So for those who aren't familiar, what is the use case in the legal market then? Is it purely still kind of testing legal ads, or is there a deeper relationship with the legal community?
We're spending more time focused on case analysis. So it's case preparation, case understanding, sort of what works and what the hidden insights. So when a lawyer is preparing for a case, how do they get their research? How do they know their arguments are going to resonate with a jury? Or how do they know they can negotiate a proper settlement with the opposing counsel? And so what we have is we have the attorney, basically, we record them telling us about a 5-minute story by video about their case. So they'll say something like, oh, Eric Cox is such a nice guy. He was just driving his car down, the highway, minding his own business, and a tractor trailer slammed into him, right? So they'll tell that story. And while they're telling the story, they're introducing elements that they wouldn't maybe if they were in a court. So it's like preparing for court. And so what we do is after we record them, we get demonstratives, we get any evidence, photos, copies of other video of, let's say, the witnesses, and we integrate it into and edit into a movie trailer. And that movie trailer, that 5-minute movie trailer, gets sent out to that independent, unbiased panel audience where we collect those emotional data points. And then once they finish watching the video, and now they've formed an opinion, we might ask them survey questions. Like, for example, if you were the juror, how much would you award the injured party? Would you award them 0? Would you award them 100,000, 250,000, 500,000, $1 million, etc.? Or we might say, what percentage of fault would you put on the truck driver? 0%, 25%, 50%, etc. Or how much fault or liability would you put on the driver of the vehicle? And it doesn't have to just be auto accidents. We've done sexual harassment. We're doing a criminal case right now. So we're agnostic to any type of law. As any attorney that wants to get data to help them prepare for their cases, EmotionTrac is the answer.
That's so exciting. What an interesting application there, case analysis. And I'm curious, actually, just for a quick random aside, I don't want to go too deep down to this rabbit hole, but is there an application for voir dire here? Can you use some type of video recording during like a juror selection to see how folks are responding to certain arguments, or is that way off the beaten path?
So that was the original concept, when we first was strategizing about the idea. And then we said, well, is every single judge in every single courtroom in the United States going to allow their proceedings to be recorded? And then what would that cause us to put all that equipment and hardware and connect it and do that? And we realized it would not be fiscally responsible to our shareholders to try to figure that out and build that. That would be a significant amount of money. So we said, let's figure out a solution where we can do it in advance, like a mock jury. It's a hybrid of a focus group and a mock jury, although we're substantially different than both of those. So that's sort of why we went down the path we did and not went into a physical courtroom.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the individual lawyers could always do certain things with their tech if they'd like to. But yeah, trying to go jurisdiction by jurisdiction sounds like a nightmare. Sorry, go ahead, David.
So Eric, before we get off, I do want to take when you can fit it in whatever in the strategy of the conversation here. I do want to talk about the strategy of our offerings and where this is going. So when that fits, I don't want to leave off without talking about that.
No, that's a great point. That's a great point. So this actually, let me sneak in one question from the audience, and let's go straight back to the strategy of the offering if you're up for it. Because we talked about the legal application a little bit, super exciting space there, and all the traction you have in that space. Somebody asked, can this be applied to the medical field, or how do you see this fitting into medicine? I think that's an interesting one. Can we do take a little moment there before we circle back to the offering strategy?
Yeah, I'll answer that. We've sort of bounced that idea around on how we can utilize, understanding emotions to drive some, I guess, medical data. And, still unsure of the fit at this moment, because again, we use independent outside audiences' reactions to what they're viewing. They're viewing that stimulus. They're viewing whatever that data, whatever is being presented in front of them. There's another market that we're looking at right now. We're in the middle of mapping out a new solution using our underlying technology. I'm really excited about it because I think it could be dwarf what we're our solutions right now. And I'll tell everybody, we're building a solution that is going to be able to identify the credibility of individuals. So think human resources, think hiring, they'll be able to say, oh, well, what do 100 people think about this person. Is this person persuasive? Is this person likable? Is this person, believable or trustworthy? But getting back to medical, again, I think it's a little bit too soon. We also don't have the resources, both the human intelligence and the financial capital, to really spend time on researching that with our science to say what area can we use it in the medical field and how effective can it be? So that's sort of where we are right now.
That's probably something that we would be interested in partnering with someone on, using our technology, because we're a little bitty company. Our goal is to get to the $1 billion disruptor, okay, to become a $1 billion unicorn. And to that end, we've got $1 trillion worth of industry where we can solve over $100 billion worth of problems. And so, if we just focus on that, we're going to get our goal without any doubt. And it's part of the game with small companies is staying focused enough.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. No, thanks for that question, and thanks for the time on that answer as well. Circling back, David, with you though, you're talking about kind of the strategy of the offering up to this point, talking about, I think it was piggybacking off of Aaron and his focus on creating shareholder value.
Right.
Let's take a moment there, David. And you can come on and tell us a little bit about the
Well,
offering strategy.
just so you know, I was an investor in this company before I became an officer, and I met Aaron. I loved Aaron. I loved the work. I loved what the company stood for. And
I love you too, David.
the origins. I mean, I'm having so much fun. This is beyond this, the opportunity. This has probably been the most fun enterprise I've ever worked on. But the origins of what I invested in 7 years ago are still here, but it has transformed through 3 pivots. And over the last, and that's very typical for a small venture capital company. In fact, you're safer. They become de-risked as they go through pivots successfully. So, so what's happened is that we've raised, to get to this point, people are blown away that we are where we are with what we've got, and the relationships that are building. That we've only raised about $6.5 million, and we've done two previous successful, fully funded crowdfundings. One of those previously with Netcapital. We launched this crowdfunding. So our capital structure is we're probably going to be going for, and we're going to be looking for a Series A or B well above this value of that's being offered on this crowdfunding. And to do that, we want to maximize the value of the company before we go for a big tranche of capital. So what we set about to do with this particular funding was just to raise enough money to spike our sales team. We don't have enough salespeople to cover the leads we've got coming in. And Aaron will attest to that. Every single day, our chief revenue officer tells us, I need more people. So we believe that in the next 6 months, if we can put this offering to use, that we'll be able to talk about a much higher price or a much better price for the offering at a higher. So we're going to continue to, as we raise capital, we're going to raise small tranches of capital relative to what most other people do, and we're going to raise it at higher valuations. I will tell you this, with what is developing right now in the conversations about the next round of capital, means that this particular type of investing, the crowdfunding investing, is going to go away with we're not going to be doing this anymore, because it just, part of why we did this offering was to provide our existing shareholders that are non-accredited the opportunity to get in. So we've been out there telling them, get it now, because we don't think this is going to happen again. I can't guarantee that, but that doesn't seem to fit our capital structure from here on out.
Yeah, and I appreciate the last little part. The future is inherently speculative and uncertain, but the goal from here is to move on to that, kind of that Series A or the larger Series C, which makes a ton of sense here. Okay, as we continue along, and thanks for that. I think a lot of folks benefited from hearing kind of the broader kind of capital raising strategy going forward. We talked quite a bit about kind of the IP you developed, the tech, and how it applies in certain industries. We talked a little bit about some of the success you've had so far, raised a couple $1 million into revenue, hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue. Are there other past accomplishments that we want to make sure we highlight before we talk about future and what we think could come in the near future here? So again, we talked about 600,000 or more in revenue so far. Some great partnerships and relationships. Do you want to dig into any of those kind of partners or relations, and then we can start talking a little bit about what you see coming in the future?
So let me just say that just to give the audience an understanding of where the company is growing in 2024, for the months of December and what we do is we sort of look at our backlog of business because we get commitments from clients and then they consume the testing. So we looked at December and January just recently, and we compared to the same period of December and January, the last period we were 600% over the past period. So we're seeing that type of growth in our backlog of business in our book business. The other thing that I can share is that we've got a pilot program going on right now with the largest personal injury law firm in the United States with 1,000 attorneys. So as we move forward with them, this could be a very, very large opportunity as we grow with them and as they see the results. And we've worked with them on an individual attorney basis, but now we're working with their centralized corporate operations team. And so that alone, as it grows, could create tremendous value for our shareholders, especially with the type of valuations we're seeing in the legal tech space. And as David mentioned earlier, we're in discussions with one of the largest companies in the world, working with them, working
In a pilot
towards
project. Yeah.
but working towards a potential channel partnership, like a reseller opportunity, and that could really explode because they have over 20,000 salespeople on their team. So,
One of the
and
largest
they're
companies in the world. That's
and
all
they're
we can
big
say about it.
and they're big in the AI space. So there's just such a great fit between everything that we're doing. It's just a matter of, I don't think it's a matter of if, I think it's a matter of when.
So yeah, these are relationships that we've been actively working on. I mean, when you get into these very large companies, these enterprise, what happened was a year ago, Aaron and I said, you know what? We've got so many huge markets to go after. There's just no way we can organically raise all the salespeople to cover all these verticals. We need to reach out to channel partners. And once you know how life is, when you put the intent out there and you start to see that's the path we need to go, all of a sudden things start to fall in place. So these two potential channel partners and or enterprise clients, we've been working on for one of them has been a customer for the last 3 years in a small way, and the other one we've been working on since May of last year. So this isn't something that's just kind of willy-nilly. It's at discussions at the leadership levels.
Absolutely. No, that's incredible traction up to the point. It sounds like a really promising 2024, good start to the year. And it looks like it has on track to continue to have some great traction. Congratulations on 600% growth since last December and January. And I know there's so many different avenues here, so I think it's gonna be probably tricky, but I do want to talk a little bit about the addressable markets here. We talked about legal and mock jury. We talked about market research and film and commercials. Can we talk? I mean, it's an election year, so we got to talk about it. Without obviously digging too deep into the politics side of it. But so we talk about the applications here in campaigns and elections. I think there's a really exciting opportunity there.
Yeah, I'll answer that. So as David shared in the presentation early on, we did receive an award from the political industry, and that award was best use of AI to optimize creative. And we've been having calls with agencies, political ad agencies, and so it's still a little bit early in the cycle, but we're getting out there and we're presenting. And not only, by the way, and I didn't mention this earlier, do we have the ability to test video content, video ads, but we could also test radio ads, audio content, because we can track people's reactions while they're listening to an ad and giving them those insights. So we're hoping that, I'm not sure when, but I'm sure very, very soon, we'll start seeing some influx of projects for some political candidates, and hopefully some notable political candidates, for good, for bad, for ugly, whatever.
That's a $13 billion market that happens. I mean, this is a big year for it. So Yeah,
That's massive. Yeah.
yeah.
We got a good 13 billion there, and then across the board, including commercial and film and television screening. Can we ballpark
Well,
what we think the total? Yeah.
the television and film and television production industry is a $328 billion industry. Okay. We also have, we're because of the collaboration with this very large company, we've learned that the apparel industry could utilize our that's a $3 trillion global industry, but we're just counting as part of our $1 trillion markets. This could be easily used by the apparel industry. And apparel industry has a big problem with identifying, where what designs are going to be responsive, what customers at what age, what demographics are going to be responsive, and where those customers located so that they can design and build the products and get them shipped to the proper places and stores where they can match up with the demand. It's a big problem. So, that's another industry. And, there's also, the industry of validating and verifying AI. That's another big industry that we think is going to be, a hotbed for us. So, in terms of, just to give you an example, the legal industry, to show you how we calculate the TAM, the total addressable market there's 100,400,000 court cases filed every year. 27% of those, or 27 million, are litigation cases. And for us to, to achieve, and in the industry, in the legal tech industry, companies are trading as high as, legal technology companies are getting bought for as high as 30 to 40 times revenue. So, we think that, that just a small percentage of that 100 million cases being utilized on those 100 million cases could take us, it's easily a $50-60 billion TAM.
That's beautiful. That's a massive market. And I imagine there's a really cool application here in litigation finance, where if you're going to fund the litigation, you want to have as much data and understanding about how people are responding to the case as possible. So I think it's going to be such an exciting time. We'll have to talk offline about some cool things we could do there. Last thing I want to sneak in here, and then we could do some closing remarks. And I'll give a little preface on closing remarks. It's basically, why is now the perfect time to go and to netcapital.com and invest in EmotionTrac? And we covered a lot of it right now, but it's a quick little conclusion, a little synopsis. So I'm putting that on your radar for now. But what I'd love to dig into for a moment is, a lot of the value, outside of the technology itself, is this pool of folks to be able to survey and be able to engage with them regularly. Can you talk a little bit about how you develop that pool of folks, and then kind of some of the features about them, demographic data, where they come from, sizes, and things like that? So the actual, I don't want to call them a focus group, but your broader audience that you test the material on. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, a little bit. Basically, we have compiled a marketplace of over 4,600 publishers who have their own databases, and we access that through a marketplace. And so when we have a client who says, "Okay, I want to do a test, and I need, women ages 25 to 54 that own a minivan and have 3 children in their household under the age of 18." We give them, they have the ability to select that through our platform. It's all self-serve. We have an automated platform. And so it then identifies which publishers have those people, and it's all seamless. It just sends out text messages and emails and said, "Oh, you've been invited to participate in this study." And by the way, if anybody wants to be a part of the panel, they can go to campaignTester.com, and you could just register to be a participant in these studies. And it's not just our studies. You can participate in other studies as well. And you get awards. You get awarded for these. So they get this notification. If you want to participate in this legal study, you're going to get $3 for participating. And it's really seamless, transparent to the end client. Our lawyers don't even know the process. They just say, "I know I need to get people into a pool of people." And that's how we have connected to 30 million people in the US. We just turned on Canada because we're expanding into the Canadian market. For anybody who's on the call from Canada, we've got some business development going on, focusing on the legal and the creative space. And there are 2 million opted-in panelists there. And across the world, it's over 300 million as we open up different markets. But we're focusing on the US, we're focusing on growing business. As David said, we're trying to stay narrow, trying to stay focused and not be all over the place. And that creates and builds a successful business.
I think Aaron brings a really important point up here, Eric. I mean, we're not just a technology company. We got, about 12 months ago, we got tapped by LG to do 14 other companies around the world. They were working on an in-house robot or a household robot. And they tapped us as one of the 15 that were going to be in competition to be on that robot. And so all we know is we're down to number 2. All right. And I don't know where we are with that right now. How far that project's moved forward, but I know we have a world-class technology in just recognizing emotions. All right. It's not just that. What we provide is we not only provide that, we provide a world-class technology in terms of getting to the audience right away and getting them installed to view these videos, and then serving it up in a manner that the customer finds it quick, easy, inexpensive, and it produces robust reports. So it's a 3-legged stool that, it's going to be very hard to compete against. And it's just, we recognize, we realize we have something very special, and we're past proof of concept. We're selling.
Yeah, it is. It's an exciting time for EmotionTrac. I'm glad that you're welcoming the rest of the crew here to join with you. I'm going to sneak in one question before we wrap up with closing remarks. Outside of cash, because obviously that's a good one. That's a way that people can help you, I imagine. Outside of investing through the platform, how else can folks help? You mentioned signing up for Campaign Tester. Is there anything else that we should share with the team that they can do to help your company grow without outside of the investment part?
That's a great question, Eric. I always tell our shareholders, and obviously we've done a couple of crowdfunding, so we have well over 1,000 shareholders. We're looking for ambassadors. If you can introduce us to potential clients, that's great. If you can tell your friends that there's an opportunity for them to invest, and I always tell people, only invest what you can afford to lose. Even though we're working and I'm invested and David's invested and my family's invested and David's family's invested and we got lots of family invested and friends. But don't come back to us later on and tell us that I didn't buy enough shares. But again, we're looking. I'm sorry. We're looking for ambassadors. Make introductions on our behalf. That's what we look for.
Aaron and I both cut our teeth in small family businesses, and then eventually went to work. My family, was a disruptor in the aviation business. So we love small investors. We love small companies, but we want to make them big. Okay. And, one of the things that's great about small investors is they've got their eye out there looking for how to help. We have an investor that came in, was the former advertising buyer for Procter & Gamble, the world's largest advertiser, when he was working for them. He tells us, hey, this thing is going to revolutionize the way ads are bought. So we believe that the investor base, we can start out with, if you're involved with, or somebody that's in any kind of a litigation case that's going to be before, it's in court or could be in court, tell them to, take a look at this service, because it's bringing results. We have attorneys that are using this to identify what the case value is, and they go to negotiations with it before they even go to trial. And they're able to negotiate up the fees or whatever, the awards, just using this study. It's there's lots of different ways you can help. Send customers our way. If you want somebody else to take a look at this, to have them take a look at this investment offering. It's that's like Aaron says, our ambassadors come right out of our shareholder base. I'm an ambassador that came out of the shareholder base.
I love that. So everybody got it from here. Best way, go ahead and invest if you're so inclined, review, invest what you're comfortable investing. And then of course, talk about joining as an ambassador, supporting the team, introductions, all that good stuff. Last piece, let's bring it home. David and Aaron, why is now the perfect time to go to netcapital.com and invest in EmotionTrac?
Never a bad time to go to EmotionTrac on Netcapital and invest.
So my answer to that is, after working a decade in the finance world and with customers, and helping people decide what they should do about their investments. You know, if you're on Netcapital looking at these kind of investments, you're looking to get a to be part of a story that's going to be bigger than the rate of return you're going to get at a bank. Okay. And these are risk investments. Everybody here knows that, or should know that. They're risk investments. Typical venture capital portfolios, maybe 2 out of 10 really hit it big. Maybe 3, you know, they do all right as businesses. So there's a big amount of risk there. But the bottom line is, the one or two in the portfolio that wins, you got to be in them to win them, is what I tell people. You got to have, I mean, get yourself a diversified portfolio. Don't overweight yourself in anything. And I'm just telling you that this thing is de-risking. At least we know it's de-risking rapidly. The risk is coming out of it. That means value is going to go up as risk comes out of it. The upper tier is really, all of us have to be honest, is an unknown. But if you're going to be buying these kind of companies, you need to have this one in your portfolio in some way, in a diversified way.
Love that, team. Well, I want to thank you so much for both of you for speaking with me. Thanks for hanging out. I always love getting on the line with founders doing exciting things. I want to thank all of the participants who came in and asked your thoughtful questions. Thank you so much, team, for that. As always, this has been recorded. I added a link to the offering page back into the chat, and now I'm adding a link to our YouTube channel. It takes some, day or so, and we'll upload this this recording. So please do share this with folks that you think would be interested that missed it, or if you missed some of it, feel free to come back and review anything that you didn't miss, that you didn't cover. And again, really though, feel free to share it more broadly for those who are unable to join. So go ahead and check out the YouTube account. Go ahead and check out EmotionTrac on Netcapital. Added a link back in there. And then let's go ahead and thank our panelists for coming in and sharing your time with us, telling us about EmotionTrac. I appreciate you both, David and Aaron.
Thank you so much,
you very
Eric.
much.
This was a lot of fun. Glad to
Thanks,
share
Eric.
the fun. Bye-bye.
The pleasure is all mine.
Thanks,
Have a good evening,
everybody.
everyone.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye now.